Welcome to the live Q&A with Melvin Mauritzson and me. This is my 16-year-old son, and I'm so stoked to be here together as a
Yeah,
family to try and inspire other people. We got a lot of questions, right, Melvin, this past week?
yeah, we did.
And yeah,
Excited to answer them.
yeah, me too. And we're gonna have to remember to try and look into our separate cameras rather than our own picture, Melvin, because
Oh yeah.
that that way we'll have eye contact. So I'm thinking, not everyone knows our story. Not everybody knows us. This is the book that started the whole thing. This is actually
Yeah.
Melvin
I'm the
over there,
far right.
QE.
Yeah, that's me.
And this is Pablo, our previously very ill sick son, and my ex and me when I was dark haired. This book sold 180,000 copies in Denmark. And it's about our family transformation. But from your perspective, you're the 16-year-old. You're the baby brother of this whole journey. Might be interesting to just have your story from your perspective. Who are we? Who are you?
Well, it all started through, obviously, as you said, the book. Um, and I was basically my whole thing with my, what should I say, my experience with the book was that when I was quite young, I used to walk through town and just like see criticism of uh,
Mm.
all the things that were said and all the things that we were saying in the books, basically. And so I was kind of I was thinking, is who's right, who's not right, and as life has progressed, I've seen the light, as you might say, and obviously I can tell now that it is what was in the book was obviously what was most of it, but most of it was right. But as the health industry changes this much, it's hard to keep up. So obviously, it's going to be
But
some things in the books that's changed.
yeah, of course. But for those who doesn't know the book, what's the book about? Because you grew up in this crazy, weird, healthy family. So what's the book about?
Well, it's about me and my brother, and obviously us as a family, and our healthy lifestyle, and how we were eating and how we were exercising, and also about my brother's autism and what we did with it.
To recover it. So we had you had asthma and you were on medication. So did your father? He was also on medication. Um, our oldest had, and I say this in past tense, and I know that's a bit provocative, but he had infantile autism. He has no symptoms of that anymore at all. So he was
Yeah.
biting, screaming, shouting. He didn't sleep at night. He would just line things up in long rows and flick the light switch. He didn't want eye contact. He didn't want hugs. And everyone told us, put him in an institution. He's going to ruin your family. So
Mm.
basically, he was hitting you a lot.
And
And I
I think
remember,
it's interesting what you said that he had autism, and that's because I just started a YouTube myself, and I literally a couple of days ago I posted an Instagram post where I said that we cured my brother from autism,
mm,
and instantly from that, me putting that, I had three of my 16 to 15-year-old friends who were saying that, hey, do you really believe this? And
mm,
my ex-girlfriend also was, and who I'm now not talking to anymore because of what you said like 2 days ago. Um, it's just it's a very sensitive subject, and you need to be careful on what you say, and you need
mhm.
to be careful on what you believe in, and everyone obviously has their different opinions on it.
Yeah.
But what I can just say is that my brother is not autistic anymore.
Exactly. And we could add to that one of the things that we have discovered is that we have some genetic dispositions called something that not many know about in the US, even, and particularly in Denmark. We have something called Pyro disorder, we have copper overload, and we have methylation issues. And all of these three things can give you symptoms that look like autism and ADHD and aggression and mood swings and anxiety. And we have had all of that. And for the longest time, we didn't have this connection. We didn't link it to this because we didn't know about it. It's new science is coming up around this. But it's basically a nutrition problem. It's a nutrient crisis. So it depletes the body from B6 and zinc. And obviously we had other issues, and he was the worst with toxicity, digestive issues, liver issues, food intolerances. But tell me what happens when he accidentally or on purpose has gluten and dairy. What do you see when that happens?
Well, we just had we just had a period with him having eaten gluten
Yeah,
uh, purposely. He was lying about it and eating gluten. And because mom is a very trusting person, she did not she wouldn't believe that when I told her that I could tell that something was up. But it was very clear to me because I think that it was quite blurred for you because you're the mom and you're protective, but I could see it very clearly that he changes when he has gluten and milk. He becomes a different person, and he
yeah,
kind of goes back to what he used to be like. Very not very clearly. He's not like he gets physical or anything like that, but you can just tell that his mind switches, and it
yeah.
becomes very different than if he eats cleanly.
Yeah, he checks out. And that was the
Mm,
scary part of having a child that you couldn't connect. So when he had all these symptoms of autism, it was actually like living with someone who wasn't present. And he had these islands of consciousness where he popped up and you could see the person underneath it. And then he
mm,
disappeared again. Same thing happens when he gets it. Now he becomes cold. You call him, you get dry. You tell him you get kind of a dry personality because
mm,
he kind of gets cold. He doesn't understand logic. He gets his OCD back. And so now we're really happy that we discovered it, and he's really happy that he discovered it because he now wants help
yeah,
getting back to where he was, and we're now on week 4 without anything, but it will take a year to get him back on track. So basically, um, it affects the brain chemistry. It affects through a thing called leaky gut. So particles are kind of entering into the bloodstream, and the body responds to it as a foreign item. And it's also something that looks like works in the body the same way as opioids. So he can either be very apathic or he can either be very hyperactive. So we are all celiac, but we are also gluten intolerant and dairy intolerant. So
mm,
we our lifestyle since you were 1 year old until you were 13, where you had your rebel phase, and we're going to talk about that as well. We have been living gluten free, dairy free, sugar free. We had no television, we had no computer games. So it was basically a very natural, back to basics lifestyle. And
mm.
you've had a lot of questions about this, Melvin. For example, how was that for you? Because you were the soccer guy, you went to daycare, you went to birthdays, and you always had your own stuff, your own cakes. Ups and
Yeah.
downs. How has it been for you?
Well, first of all, it's been well. I don't know how to explain it in an ups and down kind of sense, but I can do well. I think that if you are the kid who brings his own things or brings his own food, it becomes like a natural thing, not only for you, but also for the people around you. So say you play football in a club, or you play handball, or whatever you play. It's for the rest of the people around you, it just becomes like a natural thing. They just almost expect you to bring your own stuff. And sometimes I even have positive response to it. I even have people asking if they can have some of mine, or if I wanted to trade their lunch for my lunch. Because obviously I was always having like salads with like really nice salads and stuff in school, or
Okay.
maybe something, yeah, and something very different from what everyone else was having.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to trade mine for theirs, and obviously in the beginning it's something that everyone needs to get used to, not only yourself but also the people around you. But it will come in time, because I've obviously that's been my experience, at least. Yeah.
It's been your reality, and we did it, all of the family did it together because we thought it would be easier to cut out everything that was unhealthy, hard to digest, inflammatory, and just affecting the blood sugar for the whole family, just to see if our sick brother son could get some more sleep at night, could just basically feel better physically. We had no idea that it would affect his mental state at that time, not before we started traveling to America and go to medical conferences in the more holistic network of doctors there. But then he started sleeping at night. You got rid of your asthma medication because you stopped coughing. Same with your dad. He's been on medication since he was a baby. He's been so sick that in the beginning, when I met him, he had to sit up straight every night because he couldn't breathe. Literally, he couldn't breathe. It was all gone. And I was thinking, whoa, what is going on here? You know, if this can happen to my family, you know, this is something we need to tell people, that actually if you stop eating pizza and bread and drink milk every day, which you're told by every expert that you should be doing, you might get your sleep back. You also had eczema. Both of my kids had eczema, and they were treated with all kinds of hormonal creams by the doctors. And we stopped using that because the eczema disappeared. And the digestive issues with constipation or diarrhea and bad smelling stuff in the bathroom, that was kind of the small things. The most impressive things were that his behavior changed. So he started wanting to have eye contact. He stopped being violent. He he started to become this person that was underneath all these symptoms. And then, of course, the more signs we got, the more fanatic I got in saying, okay, if this has done so much damage to my kids and my family, we're going to hang in there. We're going to stick to this. We are not going to reintroduce pizza or yogurt or dairy or cereal, no matter what people say, no matter what experts say, and no matter how much judgment we're going to get from it. So there you were at soccer with your weird cakes. What did your friends say when you came to birthday parties and you brought your own cake? Did they get offended? Was it embarrassing with the parents for you?
As I said before, it becomes a natural thing, because when you're in school, you see those people that you see the people that you're in school with. You see those people every single day almost, and so they get to know you, and they get to know your habits. You might see it from a different angle if you were, say, if you put yourself in their position and you say, what would I think if someone brought their own cake into class? Would you think it's weird after 4 or 5 times? Because the answer to that's probably no, because it isn't weird, and it isn't offensive at all, because people understand, not only the people in the school but also the people in the all the parents at birthday parties, or the coach at football or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Did anyone, so we've got people here from New York and from Roma and everywhere. Have you been able to see me all the time? Because it looks like my camera has not been working. Can you tell me whether I'm on or not? Because if not, I think we need to start again. So anyone listening, can you please tell us whether you've been able to see my face all the time or only Melvin? Because right now it looks like, can you see Melvin? That's like a dark screen with me
No, I'd see clear.
on the side. Okay, because on the side it looks like I am. Yeah, but have I been all the time, Nune and Annika, from the beginning? Okay, thank you so much. I've been on, so yeah, thank you.
I
Woo!
also just wanted to say, um, when it's which I think was a funny coincidence. Um, the, almost the day I started my YouTube, which is obviously about health and all of that.
Yeah,
The first video I watched on the channel that I made, uh, an ad came up for Arla, which is a milk brand in
yeah, the
Denmark.
dairy.
It's
Yeah,
also a very big internationally brand, and then what it was about was basically all these kids saying that all these sorts of foods can kill you, and all those basically saying like how bad different foods were for you. And then there was this one girl who pulled out like a glorified Arla bottle of milk, and everyone said, "Are you really gonna drink that?" And then she said, uh, "Just calm down," or something like that.
yeah,
It's let me have my food, and that's basically the mentality that most people in, I believe, mostly in Denmark, because the milk industry is so big. Like everyone drinks raw milk with nothing, which is not an international thing as much as you would think if you're from Denmark. And the thing where you have in schools, where you have the milk like subscriptions, where you get milk for your kids every single day.
yeah,
That's how big it is, and people don't understand that it's not made for it's not made for humans, and you're not supposed. Well, I'll say that I don't think that you should be drinking milk, and we'll probably answer some questions in a later video or something about it. But I just think it's interesting that
yeah.
the industry is so big, and that people think that it's really really healthy.
So the life of your life as a 16-year-old, you just recently moved back to Denmark to finish your business college, and had it been a year before, I would have been really worried. Um, I was curious to see whether you would stick to sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, and the exercising, because you are very active, about 5 to 6 times a week. You go to bed at night. You protect your eyes from blue light. And I spoke to your dad, my ex, and he said, "Well, Melvin, he's so healthy, it's almost boring." He's just it's just so your life right now that you
Mm.
take care of your body, you navigate from what your body tells you to do, and you're not bothered by what other people do. So when you're with your friends and the phone's on all night and pinging, that's actually bothering you, and you don't party and drink and smoke like everybody else does all the time, which is it's actually in Denmark normal to do that every weekend for your age. So
I want to
what
just say that, just to clarify, that it's not like I don't party
you
and
do
all that,
party?
because I do.
Mm,
I don't want to create a false image. I just want to say,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. But you're very, very different to
yeah.
most young people your age. So why is this something that you have chosen to do? Why is it worth it? Because, pizza does taste good. It's fun to drink. It's great to be part of a tribe. And when everybody else is doing something and you're doing the opposite, why is it still worth it?
Well, to me, it's a it's just a personal my body can't handle it. And I think that when I eat unhealthily, or because I did have that phase where I ate pizza and where I ate like kebabs and all of those sorts of things all the time, I kind of just felt like my body wasn't able to handle it properly, and I wasn't good. I wasn't sleeping well, and I wasn't. My body just was telling me, giving me signs that something was wrong, and I obviously couldn't deduct what that was. But then when I started going to the gym and doing all of those sorts of things, and it kind of started fading, all of those signs, I could kind of tell that like there was obviously a reason for the fact that I wasn't feeling well, and that was that I was eating unhealthily and not exercising. And that is partly due to the way I grew up, which was with, as you said, from almost from when I was I think it was 3 or 4 years old till I was 13. That was completely clean and clean eating and exercising all the time. And
Yeah, from one. Yeah.
yeah,
So it's your
if and
normal.
and if you're used to that, it's kind of hard to stray off for many years at a time.
So that's kind of a line, a cue for some of the questions you've gotten from moms. So
Mm.
if you're a mom out there, you've got a child who's 3, 4, 5, 6, up all the way up to 13. As long as you've got the money, the house, the fridge, and the power, and you feel I don't want my child to be bullied, and I don't want any more conflicts. My child think that I'm fanatic enough as it is. You might be healthy yourself, but taking this on as well, and being responsible and taking on another job and another battle with your child. Oh, Melvin, you are dropping off.
Uh,
Let's see, we gotta get Melvin on again. I'm just gonna call him here. Hej, du er faldet ud, skat. Hvad siger du?
Hvad skal jeg så gøre?
Prøv at komme på igen.
Med det samme, ikke?
Ja.
Altså, jeg kan godt selv se dig og høre, hvad du siger.
Men man kan ikke se dig. Nå, okay, du er på. I'm just going to continue, sorry. So I hope you can all see Melvin, and if you can't, just let me know in the commentary. It's good that I have my crowd here. Thank you all for listening, and thank you so much for giving us feedback, and thank you for being here. So if you're a mom who cannot bring yourself to make this decision, what do you want to say to mothers about why it's worth doing anyway?
I think that it's important to remember that if you're the mom, it's kind of your decision to make, and when you're
I cannot hear him.
When you're basically when you're the mom and you're making the decisions.
Jeg kan hverken se eller høre dig. Hvor er det mærkeligt. No, I know. So I need some headphones, and I'll just have you on here on my call so that I can hear you through the phone, so I know what you're saying. One sec. Okay. No, he is. Ja, du er ude. Prøv lige at logge på igen. Ja. Okay, we're gonna try to get Melvin on again with this link again.
Kan du se mig?
see if I can get him on. We've had a bit of a problem with logging on here. So yeah, I can't hear him. If not, we're going to try and get on again and then have this be a two-part thing. There you are. Don't know what happened there. Thank you, Melvin. So we were talking about what do you want to say to moms who say, okay, this is not, I can't take another battle, so we can't really see your face. Can you come a bit closer, Melvin? We can only see your eyes right now because you're so low.
I don't know, like this?
Yeah, a little bit closer. Yeah, it's you're further down than before. Is it a different position? Because we can't really see you as much. No, you can't turn it around because then, yeah, better. So what would you say to moms about why it's worth it anyway? The battles being different, the conflict.
I think it's because you need to remember that you're the one who's making the decisions, and in the long run, it will be worth it, because if you have a young child who's used to eating healthily, or say maybe you have someone who's 10 years old and you've kind of forced them to eat healthily for the next, let's say, 2 years, they'll become used to that, and they'll think it's, if they stray off it, they'll think it's weird to not eat healthily. And that's why it's worth it, basically, because if you're used to it, you'll have more, what should I say, you'll be more healthy throughout the rest of your life, not only for the 2 years, but for it's basically a priceless and timeless gift to give those fights that you have to take.
That's very beautiful, actually. So just remember that as parents, we're not supposed to always be popular. We're not supposed to be our children's friends. We're supposed to be guidance. We're supposed to show by example, but also by decision. And as long as we have the money and the decision-making authority, we can choose to only have foods in the fridge that's actually benefiting brain growth, mood, digestion, growth. You're super tall compared to many people your age, at least over here in England. You're 193 centimeters. So what about for the children who think it's embarrassing to be different and who just want to fit in? What kind of encouragement can you offer there?
Well, I just think that it's the people that you're hanging around as a child aren't, it's not the right way to say it, but if say you only keep about 20% of the friends you have at, say, 10 years old, you'll only have maybe 10 or 20% of those when you're 16 years old, and the same for the next 6 years. So it always changes. And so it's important to remember that it's your life, and you need to make a decision on whether you want that life to be like the same as everyone else's, or if you want to make it your own, and you want to make your own decisions on not fitting in, but on being yourself.
What's the benefits for you right now for A, having learned to be different, and B, the lifestyle, the food that you're eating and the food that you're not eating? the active lifestyle that you've got. What's the benefits if you want to try and tempt somebody into this?
Well, the benefits are that you are a lot more able than everyone else. At least the people I know, there's not a lot of people who can run 5 kilometer, even a 3 kilometer run because of the lifestyle that they have. You're able to do that, and you're able to be more physically active, and you're able to kind of, I know it's a weird thing to say, but if you eat very unhealthily, you kind of feel a bit like dirty and tired and all those things. And I used to feel that as well, but that just goes away within a month of if you're eating healthy. So I think not only that, but there's a lot of things to it that you can't really explain. It's kind of it's personal to everyone, and everyone will have their own benefits, but you will definitely experience something that's worth yeah, it might be a struggle to transition, but it'll definitely be worth the struggle.
Yeah. And how do you benefit from having learned to be different? I mean, you're kind of a leader now. You're inspiring other people. So how can it be? Because we often think about being different as something bad. What's the good things about learning to be different early?
Um, if you're being different is not something that has necessarily has benefits, but if you are different, you're gonna stick out of any crowd, and you're gonna be your own person, which is, I think, is a really good thing to be able to sort of be your own person, which is quite rare actually.
It's quite rare, and it's rare the way that you don't actually give a monkey's about what other people think about you, because you used to be shy and you used to really need appreciation from people your age, from your friends. And you, so do you remember when that shifted, and if there was anything you did that you can teach others to do?
Not It's not really something I did. It's something that happened gradually, and it's something that is a result of me changing into a healthy lifestyle and changing into exercising a lot, and you kind of get inspired through that. I think that's what happened to me, but it might be different to you. You kind of need to find your own path, basically.
Yeah. And how have you seen your lifestyle inspiring people around you already?
Well, I've had in school in England. Obviously, I went to a private school, and when you go to private school, you have pre-made meals. And before I came to the school, everyone used to just eat the unhealthiest, greasiest, most sugary foods there was, and there'd always be desserts available after, which they would also always pick. But after I came out, I would make salads instead out of the very limited salad bar that they had, and everyone would start eating healthier. And almost at the end, when I was there, almost no one from my year would pick the desserts. I'd like to think that that's because I didn't, but I can't. Obviously, they haven't told me or anything. So,
But for sure, you cannot be a leader and be obsessed with fitting in at the same time. So that's impressive. There's a question for you here, Melvin, and I know we have been battling about this at different times. And you've told me that you actually appreciate that I stuck to it and took the battle and was that unpopular mom that you hated for a long time. There's a woman here who says just the thought of taking another battle she almost cannot handle. So why do you actually encourage moms to stick to it and go through that hell of battling anyway?
well, the battles that we had are almost certainly some of the worst that you can imagine. And there was almost a year, where I almost wouldn't talk to my mum, or I wouldn't talk to anyone else than my friends. And I was getting into the wrong crowds and doing all the wrong things. And I think that if it had stayed like that, and if she hadn't taken the fights, I would have stayed in those crowds, and my life would have turned out a lot different than what it is now.
What do you think your life would have been like if I had given up and said, okay, I'm not going to fight anymore? Because it was literally one whole year like that. And I remember telling my partner, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I cannot fight anymore. What do you think your life would have been like if I had given up?
Well, let's just say that I would probably not be in my room doing a live. I'd probably be somewhere smoking a cigarette or smoking a joint or something like that right now, because that was the path that I was going down.
And for someone like me who spent a decade trying to teach my kids to live healthy and be an inspiration, and spent everything I had, even financially, to just teach my kids and give them the best possible thing and the best possible food, and teach them how to be in contact with their body and Mother Nature and all that. It was such a defeat. I felt like a failure. I felt like a loser. I was so embarrassed and I was crying. It felt like the worst betrayal. But I think every teenager needs to go and try and do and be the exact opposite of their parents, to experiment, and maybe to find out, what can I take from this person, from this mom? What do I actually want to bring on into my own life, and what do I not want to bring? Because you are not supposed to be a copy of me and my life. There will be things that I've told you that you can use. There'll be things that I've told you that you can't use. And so I think it was a really important phase. I think it was a really important phase that your brother has gone through as well, eating all that crappy food so that you could both feel what it did to your bodies. What I will say is that for me as a mom, I think it's such a relief that now you're 16 and you have tried everything that I was scared that you would ever try, and I hoped you never would, naively, as if, and you lost interest in it by yourself, which means this is now your own choice. You are now on your own. You make your own decisions, because basically, face it, when your child is 1 meter and 97 centimeters, he can do whatever he wants. Physically, I have no power over him. I can only give him my values and hope that what I've given him is enough to influence him for the rest of his life. So now he's had 1 year, maybe more, we don't know, of doing the opposite of what I wanted. But he's done with it at the age of 16. Yes, he will go out and party every once in a while, but he will not go down the wrong path. And his respect for his body is his normal. Healthy food is his normality. The more years you can give your children where sleep, not gaming, food, not processed food, presence, fresh air, and activity, being active, and be present with your children and show them good values. The more you can do that in their childhood and battle your way through it, the better a life you're going to give them, or the more currency when it comes to values and health you're going to give them to walk into life with, is what I would say. What do you think, Melvin?
I think that's completely right, what you're saying, that you need to go through that phase, and everyone is going to go through that phase. But the more good values that you teach your kid early in life, the more of those will stick throughout later life.
Yeah. A good advice for women who see their children stray off in teenage, doing the experimenting, maybe even the drinking and all that stuff. What do we do as moms so that it doesn't get out of hand, but we also kind of let it happen? Any good tips for that? Because you literally feel like you're gonna die as a mom when it happens.
And what happened? Sorry.
When your child starts experimenting and starts rebelling like all teenagers do. How do we go through it? Any advice?
That's not some advice I can give. You just need to sit back.
Yeah.
There's not really anything you can do because it's gonna happen no matter what you try and do. For you to stop it, you'll basically need to lock your child in a room until they're 30. It's gonna happen no matter what you try.
Yeah. So bring on the values, stick to your values and your boundaries, and then they will be broken, but your child will come back, and the more values, the longer, the shorter the time in rebel phase.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some other questions here that we need to answer before we say goodbye for this time. Actually, I just also want to make sure that everyone knows that you have a Instagram. There's a link for it here in the commentary. You also just started your YouTube channel. And where do people find that, Melvin?
You can either find it through, I don't know, did you link to you didn't link to my private one, did you? You
No.
linked to yeah. So you can find it. There's a link for my videos on that Instagram, or you can search my name on YouTube, and my channel and 2 videos come up because I have a very weird name, so there will be nothing else than that.
Okay. An advice from you for a mom who's got a child who just wants to game in the room at night. Anything you can do or say that could motivate mom and child to take that step to get rid of those bad habits and replace them with something else, maybe?
Gaming for me is one of the worst things that I can probably one of the worst things that I could think of for a kid to be doing, because from what I know, I don't game too much. Obviously, you should be able to play some games during the day and so on. But what is the problem is that you'll stay up late and you'll be playing those games, and you won't be ready to learn in school if that's important to you. You won't be able to go to your job the next day if that's what you're doing. And basically, gaming is not like it's cool when you're like 10 to 13. It might be cool, but when you start to get bigger and age like I do, it kind of gets a bit weird, and it's kind of a weird thing to sit in your room and play games all day. So I know that's not
I don't want to be that person.
exactly, and most people my age kind of, I wouldn't say look down on people who game, but it's kind of, it's not as cool as it was when you were younger, definitely. And I think as a mum, you just need to do whatever you can to basically take away the ability he or she shouldn't be able to play any games after a certain time, because it's just so damaging. You won't be able to sleep properly. You won't be able to generate what was it? Melatonin. That's it. Yeah.
Sleep hormone.
Yeah, you won't be able to produce that as normal, which has devastating effects.
Definitely. It also increases weight gain, and it disturbs your hormones. It disturbs your growth, so you won't get
and energy levels as well.
Levels, yeah. What about learning to? So when you're a busy mom and you come home late at night, and this is a question for you as well. How do I make sure I am not slacking with the food at night? Do you have any healthy ideas for busy families for dinner or snacks at night?
If you are very busy, the best thing I can think of is meal prepping either the night before or so. You can meal prep for an entire week, put it into little plastic holders, and then heat it on the night, and that'll take you 5 minutes. And other than that, I will be making some videos on. I know I'm always all the time talking about my YouTube, but I'm gonna be doing videos on meals that are easy to make. And I think it's important. There's loads of things that you can make within like 10 minutes. It tastes so good.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lack of resources, but there will definitely be follow up on that. But for now, I will say meal prepping.
Yeah, good idea. Make a steak. Make extra dinner one day so you have for 2 days. Eat dinner for breakfast. That's one of the things that we've done that's really nice, because most people have their favorite dinner meals, and if you give them if they like a burger patty with some soft onions and some potatoes maybe, or whatever, then that's nice to give them. Or even a bolognese with gluten-free pasta in the morning. Most kids love that. And bacon and eggs and all those things. So the things that are not advisable and that we haven't done for breakfast is all this cereal, gluten-free cereal and gluten-free bread and fruit and yogurt and stuff in the morning, because it's inflammatory and it affects the blood sugar so much, so you crash and you get this craving for sugar throughout the day. So the breakfast meal is really, really important. Then we have a question about how long did it take for us to learn how to stick to this 100%, and what do we do when there's no healthy options when we are out and about with other people, so go to parties or out in the city or whatever?
Well, I can say as a good example that happened to me a couple of days ago when two of my friends wanted to go to a burger place they did actually have gluten-free options, but it was just too much carbs for me. And so I decided to let them eat their things. I know that might not be a sustainable idea for everyone, but I let them have their food, and then I waited till they were gone, and then I went somewhere healthy. For in this instance, they were eating on Strøget, which is very central Copenhagen. I just went to Torvhallerne, which is right next door, basically, and I just had a gluten-free sandwich with a smoothie, which is basically just the thing that you should be trying to do, is trying to either encourage your friend to go somewhere that not necessarily only has healthy things, but somewhere that you know that you'll be able to find something you can eat as well.
Yeah, and then just take away the bread, have steak, fish, just a burger patty, have some boiled potatoes instead of fries maybe, and also have refuel meals so that you get a great cake. You can have, there's so many options for gluten-free cakes that you can make yourself or you can buy, so that you don't get too fanatic. Because if you are completely restricting your diet all the time, then you will get into this binging situation, because you do need carbs, you do need berries, you do need fruit. So don't deny yourself that as well. What does your friends say to you when you don't eat and you wait until they're gone?
Well, I didn't tell them that I was gonna go eat after them, so they didn't really say much, to be honest. It was
Yeah.
basically I just said I wasn't hungry, and then I went to eat somewhere else afterwards. So
Okay. There's a question about, because there's a lot of people who are divorced, and then we are really similar. You and your dad and I, we're totally on the same page with this. Even though he had a phase of eating really unhealthily after the divorce, I think he had enough of my stuff. So
yeah.
he needed to say, get away from me with all this healthy stuff. But what do you say to someone where you want to limit your child's sugar intake, but the father is not interested as much? So what do you say to parents who do not want to support their children's healthy lifestyle? That's a bit of a tricky one, huh?
It's not something that I think I'm I'm educated enough to say, but I think that it's just important that you, if you are a parent who doesn't agree with what the other parent thinks, I think you need to come to a solution that you're both happy with. And nowadays there are so many options that makes eating healthily almost easier than eating unhealthy. So obviously depending on where you live, but usually there will be as many options if you're eating healthily.
Okay. I want to just, as the last topic here, we're gonna come live again later on. So we've had so many questions. We are also working on. We already recorded a get started program for those of you who want step-by-step help and you want recipes and you want tips in high quality where we're not dropping off. But anxiety is something that you've struggled with that's been nutrition related.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that felt and how you dealt with it?
Well, it's obviously one of the scariest things to experience. But I think that you need to deal with it. Obviously, this is horrible advice for someone who's very lonely, but I think that if you have someone, just anyone close to you, I think you need to talk about it, and you need to let them know if you're feeling like an anxiety, so they can come and comfort you. Because that was definitely some of that. What helped me the most was that I was just able to call my mom, and she'd be up with like a bowl of something really nice and started a movie for me, and will like all that's what I appreciated a lot, because that's really helpful when you're feeling scared about anything, basically.
And for those of you who wants to investigate further, if you have Pyro disorder, so look it up, Pyro disorder or pyroluria, or if you have copper overload, it depletes your body from B6 and zinc. And we're working with an amazing doctor in America called Albert Mensa. He's got a clinic called mensamedical.com. And he's got loads of YouTube videos about this. But what happens when you have elevated pyros, which is a byproduct of hemoglobin, pretty sciencey, but never mind, depletes the body from B6 and zinc. And so you get anxious, or you get aggressive, or you get mood swings out of the blue, or you get really depressed. You cannot choose any extreme diets if you have these issues, because fish oil can make it worse. Fasting can make it worse. Smoothie bowls and juices, so a lot of green juices, can make it worse if you've got undermethylation issues, which is also in my family. And just know that people with Irish descent, people with Scandinavian genes have a higher risk of these issues. And no one will link green juices every day or a vegan diet or a green smoothie every day to their anxiety or depression, but that is actually linked. Also because you need to probably be very aware of what's copper-rich foods, which can be almond milk. Almond milk can make a big difference and make your symptoms worse. So just going gluten-free and then replacing with something else without knowing what type you are can be tricky. So just know that you are both your mental health and your physical health. If you don't feel good, mood-wise, yes, it really is a good idea to eat whole organic foods, but also notice whether there's some foods or supplements that make it worse. So folic acid might make it worse. Multivitamins with copper might make it worse. And fish oil might make it worse if you're anything like us. So just look at yourself as a whole entity of physical, psychological, and in my case, I'm really interested in the spiritual as well. So, do you have any more questions on your paper?
I have one from Instagram, which was how to stay healthy when you're on the road.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd answer quickly, and the simplest answer is TripAdvisor, which is a page where you can just search on gluten-free restaurants near you, which is the best thing that there is on the market, I would say, at the moment. Just thought I'd throw that in there because I promised to answer it.
Cool. You've got another one here from, I think it was Camilla. How do you work on your mindset? Because my daughter is so afraid. She's your age, 16. She's so scared of standing out and be different. So that's why she doesn't want to listen to her mom. Do you have any encouragement about mindset to become as strong as you are, where you're actually proud of being different?
Well, most people around our age appreciate people who are different and as like respect the fact that you've got the balls to stick out of the crowd. And that's really what you need to remember, that there isn't the only person who's actually think it's weird is actually yourself, and there might be 2 or 3 people around you who might also think it's weird, but that's it.
Yeah.
It's not really as bad as you might think.
And also look around and think about people that you look up to. It might be musicians, might be actors. None of those people who are on the big stages have been fitting in childhood. They've all have trauma. They've probably all been bullied. We need to think about the benefits of being weird and different and stand out. It's also a strength. So practice it. Maybe think about it like, how can I experiment this week with actually deliberately be different to my friends? And what does it do? How does it feel in my body when I do it? Because I have been so different all my life. I was the one that was always bullied with my clothes and my food and everything. And I don't see any of the people that bullied me around anywhere. I don't even know who they are, what they're doing. They're definitely not on any stages or writing any books or making an impact. Remember that those who bully and cannot accept you for who you are, they're not your people, first of all, but they're not going to accomplish much in life because they're the ones with the biggest problems and the smallest sense of confidence and strength. Yeah, there's a lot of people here who's done the same thing. More power to you. We are so proud of all of you who are joining this journey. And there's a question here about fish oil. I wouldn't recommend anybody giving anybody fish oil. Actually, I would just recommend just eat fish, because fish oil is not a natural thing for the human body to eat. So yeah, we want to inspire. Melvin wants to inspire on his YouTube channel and Instagram. We're going to do a couple of things together as well for the moms. But I really would encourage you to get your children to follow him on Instagram and YouTube, because there's not many out there like you, Melvin, and I'm so proud of you. And thank you so much for offering your advice and help and answering questions.
Of course.
Anyone who's got extra questions for Melvin, just write them below here and I will pass them on to him, and he can make videos on his YouTube channel answering the questions, and we can come back on if you want us to come back on live again. So any last words from you?
Well, thanks for watching, and remember to check out the YouTube channel, which will be answering a lot more questions than it is at the moment. It's only got 2 videos, and that's because it came up 2 days ago. But actually today I'm filming another one on how to, a full day of healthy eating. So I'm just I'm working very hard, and there will be loads of videos up. So
will you go live?
To check that out.
Will you have a video up every week, or what is your plan with the YouTube channel?
More than one a week, definitely, at the moment. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. Have you seen the comments? You are an amazing inspiration, Melvin. Amazing willpower at 16. Can we take this last question? Any good ideas for meals before exercises? Anna's 14-year-old always feels hungry during training, no matter what I give him before.
if he's always hungry before, it has to be a protein heavy meal. So anything meat, or maybe a chicken breast or something like that, with a salad on the side. I usually go for light meals before, because I like to have some carbs before breakfast and some protein after breakfast. But if he's feeling hungry when he's doing exercise, it definitely something protein heavy.
And also, it's really important to feed yourself after exercise when all your windows are open. So get a really good protein shake or a great meal after exercise. That's what Melvin
Yeah.
always does, because that's actually where your muscles need the nutrition. So think more about after exercise. And you eat a lot of food. I can definitely tell the difference on my food budget here. So just teenagers needs a lot of food, and they probably need more than 3 meals a day if they are exercising and growing, and they need to eat every night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing this journey with you, and thank you for being different and brave and curious. We need you in this world. Thank you for this one.
Thank you.